See you though.
You can't see me. Jesus. Are you ready?
Oh, I can see you now. Oh my
Oh,
God.
God.
I should have expected that actually. What's he get a beard on him? Look at him.
Yes.
Good grief.
It's Christmas. We've got the Ballou.
Oh, well done. Oh, well done. Yeah.
The close season is when people drift away.
Yes.
Yeah.
No fixture list, and people are already booking holidays.
Yeah, what's happening with that? We're a bit slow with the fixture list, aren't we? What's happening with that? We're taking its time to get it put together.
So
Bargain.
Yeah.
Hey?
Bargain
Oh, more.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've got ours out. I've had it done for a week, but I put it out in little bits. I do like grading period one. I did 1 day, grading period 2, and then I've done all 5 grading periods. So tomorrow I've set a timer for it to go on Facebook at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
The full grading list.
Here he comes. Got him at last. Tom Harris is connecting to audio. He's on audio. Can we see? Oh, man, himself. There he comes. Hey, there he is.
Got it.
By the way.
There you go. He looks quite young now. You better put makeup on or something.
Oh,
are you? Oh, right. That's really nice of you. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm alright, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, we're okay. Can you see everyone else? I presume you can see the other guys here.
I don't see you. I want to see you talking Stox and a picture of my.
Yeah.
I think it's only when we talk, Neil, that we might.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
When we talk.
I think I'm here now. I think we all make Tom look young as well, don't we?
Yeah,
you've got your backgrounds and I haven't.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're professional. You see, that's the thing. We know what we. Yeah.
Oh, Tom, you're missing a trick there for your sponsors, mate. You're missing a trick.
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the Talking Stocks podcast with me, your host Neil Randon, alongside Ian Higgins and Colin Casserley, and we've got a very special guest with us for this episode. As you can see on the bottom right corner, it's none other than 5-time world champion Tom Harris. Welcome, Tom. Glad for you to make it. Thanks for very much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate having me on.
That's right. Glad you're here. So yeah, we obviously we're coming up to near Christmas. We've had quite a long season. Probably your best. Well, I haven't looked at all the records. Probably your best ever season. Would you say that it was?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I've won more finals than I ever have in my previous season. So, but yeah, and I've won a lot of races as well. But I've also done less meetings, so my average is a lot higher than it has been previous. So yeah, and I've really, really enjoyed it as well. That's the important bit, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's 15 finals you won this year, if you include the gala meeting. So yeah, by far it's your best.
Count officially?
Hey?
Does that one count?
I think so. I think it counts. Yeah, well, we count it anyway.
Oh, as long as you count it, that'll do me.
Yeah, of course. It's a final win. So I mean, yeah, I think like Stuart Smith's 500 wins. I think they counted, like I don't think they counted, they counted all the unofficial ones as well. So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a remarkable year, really. I mean, look, considering the fact that you started the year without a car, basically,
I had to steal one, didn't I? I had to steal Catherine's the year.
Well, you had to steal a few in them, actually, as it turns out, didn't you?
Actually, over the course of the year, obviously, fortunate enough that my engine went sick at Northampton, and actually, the England family were kind enough to let me use their car to finish off, the first stage of the shootout. So those guys as well. It's it's been quite special in the fact that out of one car into another and had success. So yeah, it's been really good.
Good, excellent stuff. Sorry, go on, Colin.
So that's the part of stock car racing that people don't really see all the time. That behind the scenes, other drivers are always willing to help out.
Oh, definitely, yeah, and I believe it's also helped Ashley. He won the Heaton final the following Northampton after I drove his car. Just a little bit, brake setup and a little bit here, a little bit there. Obviously just give him a bit more confidence as well that I'd driven it, and then he had a lot better results as well than he previously struggled. He was like overdriving and not quite at the brake setup right. It was just in a bit of fine tuning really, but he's been going really well since I drove it. So it was beneficial to everybody really.
I did a similar thing years ago with Frankie Wayman at Northampton European. I'd got a car, a folding car, and I couldn't get on with it. And Frank did blew his engine in practice or whatever, and I said, "Oh, use mine." And everybody's like, "What are you lending him your car for? You know, you're mad." And I went, "Listen, I'm going to get a better car back than he's going to get." You know, and it was the same thing. They put a bit of lead in the back axle. They tweaked this, they tweaked that. And after he raced it, my results improved dramatically. So it does, like you say, it's a bit of a two-way thing, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, and it was just silly things like, you know, the clutch initially off the corner, the clutch should slip a little bit as well. Just so therefore, it'd like the clutch would slip, it'd lose drive, and obviously then make the car push coming off the corner. So then he was overdriving it, going in two sideways to keep it sideways, but it was actually the clutch that was slipping that was the issue, if you know what I mean. So we got a few bits there, and they put a new clutch in it, and like I said, he's you know been really like heat and final at Northampton in it. So you know, really good results here.
That's good. Yeah,
that is something that you wouldn't pick up yourself. You need somebody else to get in your car to tell you what's wrong with it.
Yeah, exactly that. But it was like I said, I was very fortunate. I'd already qualified for the stage 2 previously. Obviously, so I didn't need to race that last race at Northampton, but obviously being a stock car driver, I want to race every race and win every race. So his brother Charlie offered me the car for the day, and I made sure it was okay with Alan, and it was beneficial for everybody then, so to speak. It's really good. So huge thanks to those.
So is this something you're going to do a lot more of? So it's almost like you're doing like it's like I don't know, like a school for setup. Is it something you're thinking of doing a bit more of with other drivers, or is it just one or two that drive your cars? Or
I don't know. It's people that I do work for, isn't it? It's people's cars that I do end up after. Like I've helped Jake, obviously, with his car this year, Jake Harry, in the beginning of the year, and you know he's had a phenomenal season. You know, yellow to superstar, and you know, a couple of
shootout.
Yeah, made the shootout. Unfortunately, he was didn't qualify for the world final, which I was a bit gutted for him for because he put a lot of time and effort in. It's just wasn't his day. You know, a few bad moves on his behalf, and just how the race panned out, it just wasn't his day. But another day, it could have been, couldn't it?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say to Tom, he mentioned there a couple of times with the shootout. Obviously, if it had been the old national series, you'd have walked it months before the end of the season. But what were your thoughts on the new format, Matt? And did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did. I did enjoy it. It was obviously different. I enjoyed the interviews that the BSCDA done and the
good those
fans, and yeah, I think it was great. It needed spicing up. Obviously, it's pretty fallen flat, hasn't it? You know, the last couple of years. So. But yeah, it was just interesting to do it differently. However, I really did enjoy it, and a huge thanks to the people, the PR team, and the people that organised it. Paul Hines obviously had a lot of input in it, so on and so on. But I just don't believe that a 4-round shootout deserves a silver roof from the prestige of the sport, so to speak. You know, back in the day with Stewart and Frankie Wayman and John Lund, Peter Fold, you know. All the legends of the sport that would have to do 50 or 60 meetings to win a silver roof. I don't believe it. You should get one with winning, you know, being the best over 4 rounds, so to speak.
Yeah, I to be honest, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I even felt the same on the shootout. I believe the silver should be for the overall points champion at the end of the year. And then maybe you design some colour stripe or, you know,
I believe the shootout needs to happen to keep people interested. And it
big money.
It made stock car racing come alive again, didn't it? You know, for the shootout. Yeah. So I believe it does need to happen. I mean, that Bradford towards the end of the year was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, staggering.
I enjoyed it, and I'm sure the fans definitely got their money's worth that day. So, but I just, like I said, you know, the silver roof should go to the person that puts time and effort in, that goes to the nothing meetings at Northampton, nothing meetings at Bradford, you know, that travels the country, does the 44, 45 meetings. They're the person that deserves the silver roof.
I would agree with you.
I can't argue with that.
I think we all agree with that, and I think the fans agree with that as well. To be honest, a lot of people say, you know, these guys are putting in the effort week in, week out, and you don't really get any recognition for it. at the end of the day, you just top of the points list and it's kind of forgotten about. So I think that the Silver Roof should go to whoever's got the most points over the entire season.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another sport, out there, is there, that you don't get anything for being, top point scorer, national points champion. National points is in the grading points, however you want to call it. I don't think there's another sport out there you don't get any recognition for being at the top of the charts and for doing all the meetings and putting all the hours in and doing all the traveling, and to do 40 meetings is it's a lot more difficult than doing 20, isn't it? So it's not twice as hard, it's more like 3 or 4 times as hard. It's harder on equipment. By the time you get to the final point,
expense,
everything's worn out, and you start having issues like so.
I think if they sort of incorporated it, like you say, you get an overall, your points champion gets the silver. They should still have a shootout series, which is a big money series. Basically, you've got to qualify for it, and then you put good money on it, which will still make the drivers fight for it, and it's still going to be a title. But I agree with what you say, Tom. Like in the karts, our number one is the person who has the silver roof, not the gold, because I've always felt that they're the person that's put in the most commitment over the year.
You don't want to get to the meetings, do you? Like the domestic meetings where it's not a world qualifier or a shootout round or whatever. You don't want to get to the meetings of people that don't go, do they? You want as many cars at each meeting as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You don't want to, we'll have a 12-car meeting here, there, or wherever because it's a nothing meeting. So people are like, I'm not going to go. We don't want that. We want as many cars as we can to put the best entertainment on for the crowd to get the fans to come back, because then it benefits everybody, doesn't it? It benefits us as drivers, the promoters, and everybody else. So that's what we need.
The meetings with the low car counts, because there's nothing on it. That doesn't do anybody any favours.
No,
so you need as many cars as you can at every meeting, and I think some of these meetings where they're not qualifiers or whatever, they should maybe try and get some sort of sponsorship where you get like a free tyre to the top white top or whatever, to try and encourage everybody to get along.
That's right. It's like the shootout, isn't it? With the extra start money you get and then the prize fund at the end of it, it makes it worth smashing your car up for. Everyone's on top form, aren't they? Because they can put another tyre on, whereas before they couldn't afford to put a tyre on, or vice versa. It's worth the damage. It's worth that extra tyre. It's and that's what makes the racing better, isn't it? If people are prepared to put their cars on the line and go for it, then the fans are going to get better stock car racing, more action, and and they're going to want to come back and watch that.
Which is the proof in the pudding was the fact that the shootout finale looked like that was a pretty decent crowd there for that. Obviously, it's obviously the sport's benefiting from this fantastic action that we've had. What I was going to say, actually, one of the things that I put out the King's Lynn programme about the shootout before we'd actually started, because I don't think anybody was sure how it was going to work until it got going. But one of the ideas, I just put something out there, just threw it out there as an idea. Like we all agree, we think the silver roof should go to the guy who does the most meetings and gets the most points at the end of the season. Sorry, the guy or woman who gets the most points. That should be where the silver roof should go. But I actually suggested, why don't we have a major title like the British as like a shootout format at the end of the year, rather than have the British. Earlier in the season, throw that in as the last big championship and make it into a shootout format, so that you end up, at the British champion gets that reward that way. It was just an idea, just to see, just so we then, because I think the fear is if you have like a silver stripe or something for a shootout champion, I don't actually think the shootout in itself would have enough value somehow, because I think because it's got the national points title or the silver roof as the reward, I just don't think a secondary series would get people unless you got big money. Unless you got big money to promote it.
If you put the big money on it, and then you had like maybe red and white checkered roofs, the F2s run a red and white checkered, don't they?
But if he ends up winning, he ends up a red.
That's Tom struggling to win so many times.
A silver, a gold. Bloody hell! No room for anything.
But I got to fall back on every now and then.
Yeah.
And you can have a different wing for every race, couldn't you? You have the gold one for the heat one, and put a checkered one on for the heat two.
No, that's Sam making it up till the start.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to kick Ezra who does that. He has a silver wing for heat too. I'm going to kick off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about that as a British as a?
We had not a British Championship. Obviously, the Grand National Championship was always like a closed grid lined up on throughout the season at the end of the year. Now, in the old shootout format, we did run the Grand National Championship as a heat. It was at King's Lynn last year, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's fours and against, isn't it? And then we had I can't remember what race that was at Bradford, and unfortunately Danny Wayman got loads of damage, and it kind of ruined his shootout night for the damage that was in like a pre-meeting race, then so to speak. So yeah, it's fours and against it, isn't it? But obviously the Grand National Championship has now been chosen for this year to be run early part of next year. So obviously it didn't get run in the new shootout format.
That might have drawn people to come early doors as well. Maybe that's something that this is always something been one of my beefs. Really, is the fact that the season doesn't really start with a bang like it used to. Like in the old days, we'd have Coventry as the first Saturday of in April, and that would be that would be the big draw. Everyone would want to go to that. You'd have a couple of filler meetings prior to that, but now we just don't we don't really kick off quickly.
We don't go. If you watch any other sport, the opening day is a big event.
Yeah, it should be the big kickoff.
Again, it's something where you need like extra sponsorship or a different like a fans race or something where you can attract the drivers to go, because not if you just have an ordinary meeting, not everybody's got their cars ready. But if you've got something big, then they'll make a bit more of an effort to get ready. But
Tom might start doing these in December.
Yeah, the season used to start, didn't it, before Coventry, but it sort of officially kicked off at Coventry. So you'd have a couple
points races, I think, but there never no points were there. I think the first, like the King's Lynn and stuff, I don't think there were any points on the first meet. I think the points started from Coventry until moving forward. But now, and obviously, they're all points meetings, aren't they? They're all grading points meetings. So
yeah.
It's prize draw time for one lucky subscriber and your opportunity to win a Tom Harris limited edition print. All you have to do to try and win the print is answer the following question and send your answer via email to neil.randon@factoruk.com, where winning answers will be put into a draw to pick out a winner. The question is, what year did Tom Harris win his first BriSCA F1 World Final? Was it A, 2012, B, 2013, C, 2014, or D, 2015? Closing date for entries is 12 noon, January the 2nd, 2025, and the winner will be announced at 12 noon, January the 5th, 3 days later. But please note, you must be a subscriber to the Talking Stox podcast to enter for the draw. Good luck, everyone. The World Final itself, which is, obviously, you would say is your obvious highlight of the year, presumably, rather than the shootout, or do you keep? Are they on a par with each other?
I think I couldn't pick a defining moment, if I'm quite honest. I guess the World Final was very special for its own reasons, so to speak. Because at the start of the year, having a new car there's lots of bits that add up for the World Final being so special. Obviously, being on my own again, obviously, like I said, new car. But then the first lap and a half, the car being destroyed, and then to come back and win from that was, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I was sat there on the infield thinking, like it's just a case of just, do what we can now, sort of like, hope for the best and kind of maintain your position. Don't try and fall too far back, and then you might win the shot at the end. I didn't actually think I was going to lead, pretty much the whole race. That was not how I had it figured out in my head. I never expected to win from that point.
To be honest, you were. There was you always get the element of luck involved with some of these races, and you had your luck with the fact that there was a race blockage, track blockage. If you'd have been stuffed in that first bend with Craig Finnegan parked on top of you and they hadn't stopped the race for a couple of laps, could have well have been it. I mean, but it was so. I mean, but it's I think it's remarkable with your car as well, because the fact is you hadn't driven it in earnest until apart from practice prior to that, and to actually bring a car out for the World Final itself and actually winning it. I think the thing is you designed it to win the World Final, didn't you? With the structure, you made it strong and able to to withstand the hits that you're going to get.
It strong enough for what I thought was strong enough, but it turns out that it still wasn't quite strong enough, was it?
No,
we had to move the axle, etc., to get the rear tire off of the rear tire was rubbing on the side rail, and then after I went in the wall again, it was then touching again. It just touching. Fortunately, it was touching right on the edge of the tread rather than the sidewall. Otherwise, the tire wouldn't have lasted. So
yeah,
that's
right. Because I remember watching the race, and I could see that that tire was that was smoking.
I've still got the tire.
It's not going to last. Have you really?
On the outside edge of the tire, like the last block of tread, it's literally nothing left of it.
Really?
It's literally worn the whole tread off of that last block, and yeah, I'll do something with it. I'll put it on the wall of the shed or something.
Yeah, you should do. I mean, that's amazing because there's a long old race as well to go through with with a tire rubbing like that. It must have been. I mean, were you aware of it? Could you see it in your?
If you entered a little bit too hard and it got on the right rear, then it would want to push the front of the car. Obviously, as the more the car rolled, it was kind of like the tire would hit the side rail harder, and then it would want to shove the nose of the car out. So it was kind of like, don't try and push too hard. But then, I got obviously a gap to start with. It was the brakes were terrible from when we went round to line up after. I sat in the car and pumped the brake pedal, and the brakes felt fine. Obviously, when the discs and everything get moving, the brakes weren't fine at all. It was so as I went round to actually line up on the grid. Oh, here we go. The brake pedal didn't feel very good, and yeah, it was just one of those races, wasn't it? And trying not to push too hard. Obviously, I got a gap, and then they yellowed it, which the yellow probably done me a favour in the fact that it gave the tyre a chance to cool down, but then also it didn't do me a favour in the fact that the back markers pulled onto the middle. So then Frankie was a lot closer than he previously had been, and then try not to push too hard when you can see Frankie Wayman closing, and there's not really much you can do about it. You're driving at the pace of the car. You need to hit your marks, and you couldn't go any faster than that, because the harder you try and go, the worse the car's then going to be. So it's kind of hard to get in your head to almost slow down, because that's faster than trying to speed away from him, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, on that last lap, what were you thinking when you Frankie was behind you? Were you expecting a big one, or
yeah, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? Frank it's the World Final, whether it be Frankie or anybody, but with it being Frankie, I knew it was going to come. And like I said, I seen Joe Booth there, and I was just like, I was more focused on lining him up so that to hit him properly, so that he didn't spin, or it was obviously deflect the blow from Frankie onto Joe. But I didn't want to hit him like sideways or not square, because if I hit him and he spun, then I could have got tangled up with him, and Frankie could have won. So yeah, it was more the fact that I knew it was coming. It was the fact that where I needed to put my car to get Joe to obviously bounce out the fence and not be tangled up together.
So that's quite extraordinary to have that foresight to know. Is that something that often happens in races where you're going to get a big hit? If there's someone in front of you, you try and do that. Or was that just something you did at the spur of the moment?
No, it's been done before, hasn't it? It's been done time and time again. I believe that obviously two cars are harder to move than one.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a lot. Obviously, teams race in New Zealand, sort of like that sort of thing, helps with all this sort of thing. I guess it's just a lot of experience and being in different positions and racing different sort of cars. You kind of put it all together, and then on the day that all the puzzle pieces seem to fit.
Yeah, it's one of those people don't seem to understand it, but when you go to hit somebody, or you're doing something like you were the meat in the sandwich, so to speak, Tom. But the thing is, if you, like you said, if you'd have given Joey and he'd have half spun, then you're on his back wheel or whatever. But people don't understand this, that sometimes you don't want to over brake because then it can disrupt the car as well, can't it? So you do the hit and then brake.
Yeah, it's almost like you let off, line him up, let the car come back down, take the hit, and then deal with that bit afterwards, if you know what I mean. Like, make sure the wheels are kept straight when you hit the wall so you don't pop a tyre or, you know, like you're heading towards the fence at 50, 60 miles an hour. You then get in your head, right, I need to straighten the wheels up now so I don't pop my tyre or bend my axle. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of doing and getting it wrong to eventually then start to get it right, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Hitting people is bloody difficult. When I was racing, if I'd had that information when I was racing, I might have done all right. But every time I hit somebody, I took myself in. I can probably count one time I hit somebody without taking myself in. It's an absolute art to hitting people, and how these guys do it now at the speeds they're going, and the machinery's a lot more equal than when I was racing. So they've all got fairly good equipment, and to actually go in faster than you've been going in before to hit somebody and get around is just absolutely incredible driving. I think that the drivers today are far better overall than they have ever been in stock car racing.
I agree with that. I think the quality of driver is, through the grades is, particularly on tarmac. I mean, it's just unbelievable, really. I mean, it shows how well you've done this year to actually win some of these finals that you have. Because I mean, it's hard to catch them like in certain places like Skegness and whatever. When they get away,
his own sister.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the hardest car I have to pass every time I come across it. It's the most difficult car I have to pass on the track, and I know that when I do pass it, I have to make sure I go into the next corner pretty safe because I know I'm going to get one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She does. She doesn't hold back. That's for sure. She's ever so good. I think she's gone.
I would say on the world final. I mean, basically, taking Tom aside, whatever. What a weekend that was, really, for the sport. The T-Mez thing and just everything about it. It was just a brilliant weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I thought so. Did you feel that as well, Tom? I mean, you felt the occasion was quite a good one, wasn't it?
I was working all week, weren't I? Ian was there.
I was too bloody busy.
Stocking the bar and moving beer barrels and then off that job on to security, putting the fence around the back of the tyres and then I got to have a few laps in my car and it caught fire and
and then an oil leak.
Nobody believes this story.
Yeah, then an oil leak you couldn't get to, and it was the build up to it was good, and people think you were there doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of laps, Tom, and obviously I was there, so I know
thousands.
And but he spent more time. Like honestly, he was like stocking the bar up, moving bigger barrels. Helping
he's your job man, isn't he? That's what he
helping get the elite.
He helped build that. He helped build that grandstand as well. Didn't you help with that as well? At some point?
We did a few bits for the seats in that. The balcony from the bar. We put the girders up for that, and I went there for a day to pick something up, and ended up. That didn't. I was when the monster was supposed to be coming. Actually, went to unload the container. Little did I know the container had been cancelled, so I ended up putting the girders in for the balcony that comes out the bar and. Good old Rob, eh? Good old Rob.
Yeah, good old Rob. Yeah.
It was a brilliant advert for the sport, though, to be fair. It really was.
I think the whole thing.
It was, and that grandstand, what a place that is. To come out on track. It makes the hair on the back of your neck stand. Come out on track to go round with an absolutely a packed stadium, but then to have all those people under that roof, the noise and stuff that it creates is unbelievable. It's absolutely phenomenal what Rob and the team at Skeg have done with the place. It's unbelievable.
Fantastic job in there, really. I mean, it's just so creative as well. Not having the monsters truck and doing the four abreast for the
that made the hairs stand up on the back of the neck.
Absolutely amazing. That was.
The drivers did brilliant to hold that. To be fair, to get that right,
synchronized, wasn't it?
Job.
Yeah, I know.
It was phenomenal to watch.
It was. That's where race teams are so beneficial nowadays, aren't they? You can talk to the drivers and guys, because from the drivers' briefing, I believe it actually started. I think we were supposed to go round single, then go into four wide. Well, literally, as we started moving, the four wide was then done in turns 3 and 4, and we, trying to speed things up a bit, sort of thing. And yeah, it was great. Everyone did a great thing, and we kept it all dead close, and
It looked brilliant.
it looked spectacular. You know, I've seen the video obviously of the four wide in the race. It looks a spectacular.
I'll put that up on here actually once.
Yeah.
We'll see that. So it was just absolutely staggering. That it was a fantastic moment. And the other good moment, which I've got some footage of, which is if I can find it. Here we go. Is you in this? You see that? Yeah.
I'm glad you haven't got the first lap because I thought I was going to put it in the wall down the back straight. As I come
Oh,
off
did you?
turn two, I hit the throttle and it sort of like give a big, ooh, all right, then just calm down a little bit.
But what a car! I mean, it was about 3 or 4 seconds a lap quicker, wasn't it, than an F1 stock car?
Yeah,
Not
I believe it was 3 seconds a lap faster than the Formula One round. To be fair,
it sounded brilliant.
Like again, with everything that was going on, I probably did 4 or 5 laps in it, maybe on the Thursday or
yeah.
I didn't do much because we couldn't get it to run. The gears have been put in the wrong way around, etc., etc. And then heat it. Like it takes so long to heat it up and get the fuel bled up and plugs back in and get the oil pressure. You know, it's not just a turn the key and go sort of thing. It was quite a build up.
Around with the quad.
We had 2 or 3 different things to try to get the thing to start. It took a lot of effort to do it, so I'm glad it worked out as good as it did, sort of thing. It was, again, we had no experience with it, no lap sort of, how many laps we could do, and to be honest with you, towards the end, I was sliding it around to get around the corner a bit better. Wasn't really trying for a fast lap, just to put on a bit of a show. But I just didn't know how long the right rear tyre was going to last, with it being so soft. Last thing you want is the right rear tyre to shred and it end up upside down on the catch fence, because I'm sure I'd have got a great cheer. Hopefully what you want to do. The great build-up to World Final.
Do you think, Tom, just on a different note, because you were so busy leading up to it, getting the new car finished, doing everything, then during the day you were off here doing interviews, you were doing that, you were doing all the various other stuff. Do you think in a way that took some pressure off you, focusing on the race?
Yes and no. It's so World Final weekends are so hard and they're so hectic through whether it be Northampton or Skegness. But I believe the build up to World Final, I was more concerned about getting the car right than I was the actual race, if that makes sense. But yeah, I guess my car was in in the queue for Parc Ferme. And I was putting a carburetor on Rob's Elite, getting that to run right in the shed. Then he did his laps in that, and then they were parked on the track, and then I was off
with T-Mez
tractor, and then it was obviously in the car, and it was, I come back to my car, and I was like, "Oh, did it weigh all right?" And I've got a great team of guys around me that were made sure it was. They actually welded an extra piece of box underneath the back bumper because. They weren't sure on the rear weight, and they did what they thought it might be a bit close with it being 25 laps, etc. So they added weight to my nice new car without really. I didn't really want it on there, but at the end of the day, it didn't fall off, and the rest is history. It managed to park on those checkers there, and it was a great night.
And helping T-Mez, what was his real thoughts on our racing?
He loved the car. And, the car, he said, lots of horsepower, the brakes aren't bad, the tyres aren't bad. He said, but I just hate the contact. He said it actually hurts.
Yeah.
But every time you get hit. Like, I hit him a couple of times in practice because obviously he'd not had any contact before. And I tried to get him to, come in next corner and run into me. And he was like, no, that's all right. I'm okay. I don't really want it. Fair play to the guy for coming over, doing something completely different, out of his comfort zone. The speed and stuff, I believe he could drive the car, and he could drive the car as good as, I jumped in the car on the Thursday, I think it was, with him, and just, got the brakes a little bit better for him, etc., and just made sure it was right. And, his lap times were right on mine in the car. So that obviously gave him a little bit of confidence as well. But for him to come over out of his comfort zone, and then obviously it was his first race as well. I know he did a race in a Formula 2 on the Friday, but his first Formula 1 race starting mid-pack in
the World Final.
Yeah. it's
I think
that
that's
was quite daunting for him.
Yeah, I think that's something that we should kind of try and learn from. That like the New Zealand guys come over and their first race is stuck in the middle of a world final. They've got no chance to get used to the cars and the way we race in the contact. Why don't we have a race for them on a Friday night? Yeah.
Well, it's like that though. I believe that that when they do the fixtures, I know it's quite difficult with different promotions and different tracks, and some being tarmac and some being shale. But I believe that you should have, and it's also not many people want to race the week before World Final. Obviously, case of knockouts, etc., and getting injured and damaging cars. But there should be something on that the foreigners can go to the week before, so they can have a go in the car, have a race, get out of it, have a week to build on it, think about it, and then obviously go into the Friday for time trials, etc., with a little bit of racecraft and a little bit of how the car's going to feel and sort of like go from there really. But just so difficult to do in the time frame that everyone's given.
It was exactly the same back in the day when Bob Ciccone, if you remember, borrowed mine, Neil, at Hennesford, and we'd been up there practicing, and he was quicker than me. And then they did the foreigners' time trials, and everybody expected Crooners to win it, and he walked it, did Bob, but then he was straight into a race and contact. It was exactly the same thing, Tom. The contact just got him. If he could have run round wide like he wanted to do all the time, then people would have caught him. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to Josh Pelkey as well when he came over. It was like quickest in time trial, so he's on road 2, 3 or whatever it is, and he didn't get past the start finish line because the contact he weren't ready for it. Everyone was telling him, don't set the fastest time, go to the back and drive your way through it. But a racer's a racer. They're going to go as fast as they possibly can. And I say, a meeting the week beforehand, why not? Why not ever? If the top guys don't go to it, it's fair enough. But let's have a meeting to get the see drivers.
Yeah. I believe, like T-Mez, with his pace and stuff, I believe that he had good potential to get onto row 3 or row 6. He I don't know where, I think he had row 9 or something. But with the format they do as well, like it seems to change from year to year. One year they do like a 5-minute practice session and the fastest time goes through, and then they did this time they did 2 different formats, didn't they? They did a 5-minute session and then they did a 2-lap thing like the second round. So I think
they should do it like the Grand Prix, where they all go out to start with, and you knock 4 out after the first session, you knock 4 out after the second, and the remaining 6 or whatever go for the top spaces.
Yeah, it's obviously with the track being at night. Obviously, again, T-Mez hadn't driven the car at night either, which obviously people will know it's a lot different to drive it in the middle of the afternoon when the track's warm and everything, to then go out and it's like cold and a bit damp, a bit greasy sort of thing, and no tire temperature. It's it does take a little bit of driving sort of thing, different to it would in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah. When you go to the Chili Bowl, Tom, is T-Mez going to give you a bit of one back?
He's a really cool guy, and we bounced ideas of each other for a while. But unfortunately, like World Final weekend, I was so busy. I was trying to do his car, Catherine's car, my car, sprint car, elite car. I had cars coming out of Paul Harrison's car, I had cars coming out of my ears. It was kind of hard to. I did my best for him, and I hope I'm sure he was happy. He thanked me, so he was happy in what he did, and he's happy with the pace he had in the car. Yeah, maybe I just shouldn't have run into him as hard on practice. Then he might have not know what to expect or final. He might have been off to a bit of a better start, sort of thing. But again, I think on the restart, he missed his gear.
Yeah.
On the first start, and he got a massive one, and I think that sort of like gave him a bit of a head exploder.
Bell ringer, that one.
Yeah, yeah. He said it physically hurts. He said it's like being hit with the head with a sledgehammer.
To be fair to him, you've got to give him credit as well, because he did interview after interview. He was brilliant, I thought.
Yeah, he was.
He's great. He's great fun. He's good fun. He's great to talk to. Obviously he can drive a car brilliantly. He's he's great at what he does, and he like you said, he's living his best life, traveling the world, racing different sorts of cars. So I'm just glad for his YouTube channel and stuff that's obviously all across America and really popular, that they've got a chance to see our kind of racing. It can only benefit us and the sport in a whole for the future.
I think
when you go out to the Chili Bowl this time, Tom, there might be a few people sort of know a bit more about the racing because of it, won't they? And so I think his channel will definitely help that way.
Oh,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna. It's not so because Tom's here, but I went to a small dirt track in the middle of Pennsylvania, which was running micro sprint cars on a Wednesday night, and I got into the infield, and one of the photographer guys came up to me and said, "Where you from?" I said, "I'm from England." He goes, "Do you know that Tom Harris guy? He's a badass driver." I said, "Yeah, I do."
It's pretty cool as well. Not this time, but last year's PRI show, Matt Simpson was out there, and obviously you get on quite well with Matt, and he was with Billy Wood out there, and there was a few people who said like what they're from and what they do, and Tom Harris, and it's the people that obviously know who you are and what you do is quite surreal for me. Obviously doing it, you don't really think that certain people would know who you are and what you race, and Kyle Larson, for example, he knew that I'd won the world final and won the points and stuff. So that's kind of cool, from his caliber sort of driving to know what we do over here. That's great for me and obviously great for our sport.
When you're heading back out, Tom?
I think it's the 9th of January. Fly out to Chili Bowl.
You and Rob, is it? You and Rob going out together?
Yeah, me and Rob. I've got to babysit Rob. They obviously just went to
California.
California, yeah. We was hoping to go really, but we thought we had a couple of things lined up, and then it just didn't seem to all fit. And then the weather wasn't great out there. They had a few rainouts, and the time scale that I actually had to go out there, it just wasn't going to work. So I ended up going to Indy to work on my sprint car stuff and get that ready for Florida.
Yeah, I saw that.
We got another car out there, so now I've got two good cars, full carbon, and sort of like trying to get a package together where everything's the same, so to speak. So I've got 2 cars the same then I've got a complete car's worth of spares in the trailer, which will all bolt straight on, and then I've got another spare axle but doesn't have bird cages and brake caliper, etc. on. So we could probably build with a bit of time, probably build 3 cars at the back of my trailer now. So just need a bit trying to get organised to go forward and have obviously those guys. With racing out there, 5 nights in 5 nights, it's going to be tough on equipment. So we need to make sure we've got enough stuff there that if we crash, we can carry on racing.
Yeah, so I mean, sorry, go on.
I'll say, how tough is it to do, like, say, the Indiana Sprint Week? How tough is it to do night after night after night?
It's absolutely exhausting, because, like, say, the heat as well. It's so difficult to work in the heat out there. And then to go night after night after night after night with, some tracks are an hour apart, some tracks are 3 hours apart. It does take it out of you, and it's obviously it's a massive team effort. You've got to have all your tires prepped, cut, groove, sized, ready to go, all stacked up in the trailer, because there's that much work to be done. You don't have time to do little bits like that. It's all about the build up to it. You have to have everything in line to sort of like be able to do it properly, because there's not time at as soon as the horn blows for hot laps, then that's it then. And, you don't really stop then from then until feature time. It's, you're working all night for the end result sort of thing. It's a massive team effort. And it's,
when you say about the heat, that is something that's very difficult to fathom. When it's 100 degrees in the day, it's difficult to walk in, let alone do anything else. And even at race time, I come out of a track in Angel Park, and it was 90 degrees at like 10 o'clock at night. And that heat is unbelievable.
Not good.
That is hard as well, and obviously also with traveling and stuff, it's actually having time to sit down and have a proper meal. When we was in Florida last time, we didn't have a proper meal. We used to go out for lunch or whatever, but then when racing started, it was kind of like snacks all the time. You'd have a sandwich or you'd have a burger or something. We never actually go out and sit down and have something to eat until the racing finished. after the week of racing, then we actually got to go. So we had a meal before the week of racing started, then we had a meal at the end. It was, in between, there was with no time for anything else. It was race. Wash, tyres, service, race. That's how it was.
It's because Buzzy wasn't there. That's what it was.
It was. That's what she would go to the shop and get us some sandwiches and get us some ice, repack the cooler, and bought Dad a cake for his birthday and some beers for later on, and away we go again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you actually going to do? So you said you've got enough to build 3 cars. We're talking the non-wing sprint cars you're talking about, presumably. So what's your plan then for obviously doing the Chili Bowl? We'll talk about that in a minute, but with the you focus on the non-sprint.
I don't even want to think about it.
Hey?
So I said, don't ask. I don't even want to think about it.
Really?
So I'm going to the Chili Bowl with Rob.
Yeah.
And I was going to come home from the Chili Bowl and then fly out to New Zealand, but it's going to save me like 2 days time to fly straight from Dallas straight to Auckland.
Right.
The time difference, and then if I come home, then I obviously won't be able to get back on a flight to New Zealand that day, so then it'll be the following day. So actually, time-wise, we're looking at going straight from Dallas, do the Chili Bowl, head back to Dallas, fly straight from Dallas to Auckland, then go to Joblins and get sorted the car, to then go to do the World 240s in New Zealand, and then come home from there. I don't actually know how long my assistant is over here. She would know more than me. Then we go home for a week or 10 days or something, and then fly back to Florida to the sprint car. So I think we've got a practice night and then 6 nights racing, I think. Like back to back to back.
And now you're supposed to be building some cars somewhere along the line as well.
Yeah, you need a stock car to build as well.
So we got I think there's 13 to do. I think.
Can you get yourself a sprint car midget ride while you're in New Zealand as well?
Yeah, well, actually, I've been asked to head back out there in March.
All right.
So end of February, beginning of March. There's 3 nights I think Puck was on about doing. So hopefully there's a sprint car and a midget ride at Western Springs, and I can't think what date the 248 is. I think it's the week before or something like that. Trying to fit all. But at the end of the day, I need to obviously get the cars built to earn some money to be able to go and do this. But while you got these opportunities, obviously, why wouldn't you go and do it? It's
absolutely
got to go for it. For it.
Yeah, definitely have.
And then obviously with this year as well, I'm going to try and do a lot more with the sprint car than I previously have. Hopefully, when I think there's 50 USAC races that have come out this time now, the schedule's out. So hopefully, there's nothing that flashed too bad, and I can do a lot more racing over there as well.
Yeah, because obviously you've had some fantastic results in the past. But it's so competitive, isn't it? You have to be, like you say, you need that seat time. You need to have the experience at these different tracks. So some of these tracks, presumably, it'll be the first time you actually visited them. No, like the Indiana Speed Week. Had you been to some of those tracks before? Or?
When I went to Pennsylvania, when I come back from Florida, I was really buzzing because I'd had like a really good week. Obviously, I got this new car, and it was, I'd won a heat, and it was unlucky. I had a puncher in a feature, but then I had a couple of 12ths, and I think I had a 10th in the big money race at Volusia. And when I come back, I'd got quite a bit of prize money, and it was sort of like, okay, it makes everything easy, doesn't it? If it doesn't cost you a fortune to go, it kind of pays for itself. That's what we're in it for. So then obviously I went to Pennsylvania, and the first night, basically I raced the European. So I raced Saturday, Sunday, and I didn't go to bed Sunday night. By the time I got home and got sorted, had some tea. Then I left to go to the airport and my van broke down. So my bossy had to come and pick me up or tow me back to the house. Then I left in my dad's truck to go to the airport. By the time I got to the airport and then changed the registration on the hotel parking and all the rest of it, I only had 45 minutes before the taxi was coming to go to the airport. So I didn't get any sleep at all. And then we got there. Rob and Asher picked me up from the airport, went to Ballou's. My dad was already there working on the car, finished the car off, got loaded up, drove 10 hours straight to Pennsylvania. Had 3 or 4 hours sleep when I got there because we was actually on time for a change. And yeah, the first night wasn't too bad at all. We had the wrong gear in for the first track, obviously a track I'd never been to before. We had the wrong gear in to start with, but then qualified through the B main, had a good run in the feature. And then I don't know if it was the third night, I think I struggled somewhere with the bad vibration and we could not figure it out. Thought we'd balanced the rear tyres and done this and done that. And it was actually fueling of the car. It was with the injection. It was too lean, and it was creating this mad vibration, and it was bad vibration. Like it was, yeah. So anyway, Blues guys out there, one of his engine guys come over, and we'd whip the plugs out, and we changed the spark plugs to a colder spark plug, and up the fuel and the main pill a little bit, and the high speed put a bit more pressure in that, and it fixed it. But I'd already lost sort of like 2 nights then with the same issue. We tried everything. It was just one of them things that, not being around fuel injection, a lot of methanol, it was, I really didn't have a clue what I was doing with it.
How different are the tracks to drive than our tracks?
In Pennsylvania or in general?
In general, in the tracks in the States. I mean,
Pennsylvania, I've never been so scared in my life.
Really?
Yeah. Can't think what track it was now. No, what's that other one? The really banked one. Port Royal.
Port Royal's a big old track.
Yeah, Port Royal's fast, but it's really wide and open.
And that little one, the little one, Action Track USA, was it?
No, that's the small one. That's the small one.
Yeah.
The one before that. I can't think what it's called now. No, I can't think what it's called. Can't
remember what they are.
No, I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, like you go and it is fast, and I mean like fast, and yeah, like you're going down, you get into the corner, and the front wheel's like 2 foot off the floor still. It's sat like this on the rear tires, and I said to Ballou, I was like, yeah, like that's not for me. That I said, like, he said, like you don't get in the car for 6 months, and then you expect to come here. He says it's not comfortable for me either. He said, so if that makes you feel any better, it's not comfortable for me. And he's raced 30 times since I'd been there. But yeah, man, that wasn't comfortable at all.
Really?
Yeah,
quite daunting.
Yeah, and it's like they made a track that was like Lawrenceburg, but in Pennsylvania. I can't see what it's called now. And honestly, it was, yeah.
It's not the one in New Jersey, Bridgeport, was it?
Bridgeport, yes, Bridgeport.
Yeah.
I've never been so fast in my life.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, you've been
at the same time.
We've sort of spoken about it on previous stuff, Tom, and we've said that we think, a lot of your racing out there, does it sort of seem like slow when you come back here almost?
It definitely helped. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think the non-wing car being like Williams Grove. The Williams Grove was really, really wet and heavy. And like when you come under the bridge, like halfway down the back straight Williams Grove, there's a bit of a dip where the transporters drive across the racetrack to go onto the infield, like the wing cars park on the infield. And there's a little bit of a dip. And like if you're wide open and you're probably doing 110, 120 mile an hour, and it literally just goes on the back wheels. You kind of have to like judge it, roll out the throttle, and then as you go over it, then like get back into the throttle again. But yeah, it's going so fast in something like obviously a non-wing car and the straightaway has less drag than a wing car. It's fast and extremely out of control. And I believe that a wing car is so fast on lap times and it's so fast to drive, but the wing does so much. The minute you get brave enough to drive a wing car wide open, it's like, oh, well, I should have done that 6 meters before, because it's just so stuck and so laid left, and it just Whereas a non-wing car's like front was on the floor, and you're kind of like fighting for your life every second that you're in it.
Is a wing car out there same as a wing car here? Does a wing in this country, does it help you go into the corners? Or
No, a wing over here does make a difference, but any sort of aero makes a difference, doesn't it? If you try to put your hand out the window at 60 mile an hour, you can feel the airflow. But the wings our cars over here are so heavy. One, they're so heavy. Two, they're not fast enough. And three, the wings aren't big enough for the cars. I believe if you put a bigger wing on a stock car, it'd make a massive difference.
You're Wayman in Ballou.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a shed, that wing was. It was massive. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's just interesting because I'll put this up on the background here. This is you at Eldora when you've got that second quickest lap time, which was quite sensational, really. That was one of your big moments.
That's a really cool moment. That is.
Yeah, I know, it was amazing. And what was it? Was it because we were just saying earlier on how people out there know who you are? I think in a lot of ways, American motorsport, oval racing like this, I think you're probably more well known over there than you are here in a lot of ways.
Probably, like you say, motorsport over there is so well known, and especially like sprint car racing, and obviously the Outlaws. Obviously it's slightly different now. There was always the All Stars and the Outlaws, and then now it's like the Outlaws and the High Limits. It's massively well known, and I know so many people over here that subscribe to Dirt Vision and Flow Racing to watch all the American stuff, and they're in England. There's people obviously Australia, New Zealand, and all over America that, because America's so big with the different states, they obviously tune into the live stream. So it's great that so many people across America and also across the world get to watch these big events. Like, I mean, look at that for a picture. That's to be part of that, sat there racing for 175,000. It's that's pretty special.
Yeah, definitely was. I mean, it's just extraordinary. Yeah, it was a bit of a because you were one of the 6 fastest qualifiers. You had to go in that. It was some sort of strange draw you had to take.
It was the King's Row, wasn't it? So we went into a joust. I think it was a joust with I think there was Cy Lynch, Donny Schott, me, Logan Stewart, like massive names of sprint car racing, across, not just like for like the history of the sport. Look at what Donny Schott has won, and to line up next to him, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I know, it's just amazing because I think that almost helped make you. Well, there was the two highlights, isn't there? Really, basically making the big show at the Chili Bowl, which was that was extraordinary.
Extraordinary thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then to make the feature in the King's Royal was the other. I mean that was just just special moments and things that you always will remember, won't you? Definitely.
Oh, definitely, yeah. People still talk about this. I was actually, when I got this car from Tim Clawson, it was actually obviously Tyler Courtney, who drives for Corsa Marshall. I went to their shop, and they've actually got the crown for the King's Royal because Tyler won it. I don't know if it's last year, the year before. They got the crown for the King's Royal there, and it's actually like it's huge. The trophy's huge. It was, the check obviously absolutely huge. It was and they've got all that in they have a massive trophy room in the entrance to their workshop. And they've got all their big stuff in there. So we was actually talking about it a couple of weeks ago.
Cool.
Eldora must be a hell of a track to race at as well.
Eldora's really, really cool. It's I had my best USAC result there in a non-wing car as well. I think it was the same week we did the Let's Race 2, and I think I got fifth or sixth in the USAC feature. And then the night after, then the rear axle broke in the wing car down the straight, so I went for a little bit of a ride upside down. And
a lot of time fixing that, didn't you? Afterwards as well, in the heat,
in blistering heat under a little heatwave thing we'd bought to get it fixed, and then managed to go out and run second quick against the best in wing sprint racing at the time. It was an unbelievable moment for me. An incredible moment.
I mean, without blowing smoke up your backside, Tom, Neil and Colin and I on here have previously said a lot of people don't realise just how well you actually do out there.
I know. Exactly.
It's, they go, oh, he only got a fifth. You know what I mean? It's like, no, he got a fifth amongst the best of the best.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the thing. And it's so difficult. It's so difficult because it's so challenging. Obviously, I'm really good friends with Ballou. He won the championship in 2015, and he can struggle sometimes. Like, he can come off a win and go back and he'll always qualify. He literally makes things happen with his car. It's to qualify. He drives the absolute wheels off, drive round people, over people, through people, the inside, outside, whatever. He'll make sure he makes the show. And to make the A main of any sprint car race is a massive achievement. Like a massive achievement. Like when I won my heat race in Florida, that was a USAC heat race. It's pretty. I started off the front row, but it's a big thing.
You're racing against guys who race week in, week out, and race professionally out there. As you were talking about with Ashley England and his guy, your knowledge helped Ashley's car go a bit better. Gaining the knowledge, those guys have got years and years of knowledge and experience in sprint car racing, and you've got a couple. You've only got a couple of meetings under your belt. So to do what you've done is absolutely fantastic. There's no two ways about it. Absolutely brilliant.
It's always the way as well. Like by the time you get comfortable and you get to
time to go home,
then you come home again, and then you get so many bad habits from racing here. To then go back again, you don't start from the beginning again, but it does take a long time to get comfortable. And like I don't care who you are, if you get one of them cars, there's no way you're going to throw it into the corner wide open at whatever speed you're doing if you're not comfortable. Like it just doesn't happen. I was talking to Andy Smith about actually because he watched on Flow last year at Florida, and the guy that was chasing me in the heat race, he just got a little bit too wide and it flipped, and it literally flipped him out the track at Ocala. He landed in the parking area for the cars. It just the cars are so fast and they're so light. The slightest mistake, it's over with. It's a massive heat.
Was it Blue that we had the video call with at Skegness with all his transporter and that?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. With his cars and his trophies. Yeah. That's the workshop, isn't it?
Oh, just a bit. Yeah. His race truck was something else. Bloody hell.
Yeah. He's doing really well. He's got a new tote-home this year, a new trailer this year. Well, this year gone, and he started a different chassis manufacturer, and he's had a good year again. I don't know if anybody's seen. He won the sprint car race, the USAC race at Eldora, on like a last lap path. He took the last lap. They took the last lap, the white flag, and he was 4 or 5 car lengths behind the guy, and he just kept his foot in and went right round the outside, literally dragged him and beat him across the line.
He's not the man for nothing, is he?
No, but like he said, how do I get back onto here? He said I was either going to win or was going to have to get the spare car out the top of the trailer for tomorrow.
But what's remarkable about him as well is the fact that he's come back from a bad injury as well, hasn't he? Because he had a lot.
He's had a couple of good ones. I think his worst injury was his neck. He broke his neck. He flipped and it landed cage first, and the cage sunk into the dirt. And obviously, his head hit the floor. Where the cage sunk into the floor, obviously his head hit the dirt, and it broke his neck.
Christ.
He found out the car is out, and then he was like, "Oh, there's something really not good here." So he got over that, and then he won a sprint car race at Kokomo, and a car stalled going across the line, and he come off the last corner, like swerved to miss him, clipped the car sideways, and the rear bumper went straight through the arm guard and smashed his arm. His bones are his arm. It like smashed his arm to pieces, and that took over 12 months to get that.
Yeah. Right. That was the latest one, wasn't it?
That's the last one, yeah.